Hi there, I'm Catherine. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I have a junk journal flip through to do today with you. I'm hoping that the lighting is all right. I'm actually doing this in the evening. I took too long and I lost all my natural light. So we're going to give this a go and see if it still works out anyways using my desk lamps here. So I have a beautiful little winter, Christmas, and December solstice journal. It's sort of all wrapped into one. It's got a little bit of everything because a little bit of all of that happens in December, doesn't it? Because Christmas happens in December, and the longest night of the year, December 21st, happens in December. And for many of us around the world, that's certainly when winter often will rear its cold and sometimes nasty head. So I've taken actually a lot of my inspiration from this original cover. This was a Reader's Digest condensed book, and it's from 1966. And I loved the cover as soon as I saw it. I've had this cover for about a year and a half, and I always knew I wanted to make a winter book out of it, because it actually reminds me of a lot of the winter where I live. It's not always white, fluffy, and bushy evergreens everywhere where I live. Sometimes it's bare skeletal brown trees and wind blowing. And if you can see here, that's what it looks like on that on the cover that it came with. I have decoupaged on some bunnies. Well, that's a rabbit. That's a cottontail. And this one is a beautiful, majestic hare. And I put a book plate on the front that says trust, because I felt like sometimes when it's the dead of winter and it feels like it's taking forever, you have to trust that spring is still coming. So I put the word trust on it. It felt appropriate to me. So this book is 5¼ inches wide by 7½ inches long, and it's just a smidge shy of 2 inches thick. There are 3 signatures in it, and there are a total of 120 pages. I've added wooden buttons down the center of the spine. And there's also a great big jingle sleigh bell at the bottom. This is removable. It's held on with sparkly baker's twine through some eyelets. So if that sleigh bell, you can see it's big. That fits in the palm of my hand. If it starts to drive you crazy, you can remove it and hang it on your tree or whatever you like to do with it. So let's take a look inside. I've used a lot of natural themes in this. I've taken inspiration from December 21st, the longest night of the year. And it originally, back in my ancestors' days in the UK, it was a time of welcoming back the sun, because after December 21st, the days would get longer. So that night, the longest night of the year, they would be celebrating the sun, the stars, the moon, their sources of light. There would be fires going, candles going, I guess eventually lanterns going, and it would be a celebration of the light. And they would also bring in boughs, evergreen boughs, holly, any kind of foliage that stays green through the winter that hasn't dropped its leaves. They'd bring it into the house to make it feel like you were welcoming back longer days. So I've taken a lot of inspiration from that. You'll see that the spine, the fabric on the spine, is pine cones, and I feel like winter can sparkle in its own right. So you're going to see quite a bit of sparkly gold throughout, because that was my way of helping this dreary winter to still sparkle anyways. And you'll see animals and wildlife, and you'll still see a little bit of Santa, or St. Nicholas, Father Christmas, He'll be in here and there. A lot of animals. So here's the opening. When you open up, I saved the original front page, so it says 1966 here. And I added some holly. There's a little squirrel asleep in his little nest with a word snippet down below that says covered up under blankets. And he's covered up under a blanket of snow. On the inside of the cover here, I have some old music. This is from a 1930s song. This is not the Beatles song. This is another song that was called Here Comes the Sun. And I thought that was appropriate for December 21st. And then there's a quote here throughout the whole book. I can't read them all, or we will be here for a long time. But I've found a lot of quotes about winter and the solstice and Christmas, and I've put them throughout. This is a pocket, and it's got a woman in the moon and stars up above, so you can put whatever you like in there. I'm putting my usual bookmark that has my mom and my grandmother on it. So that always goes into the journals that I send off to new homes. So you can do whatever you like with that bookmark. As we turn in, you're going to see a lot of blank pages because I feel like, especially for a Christmas time of year, you're going to have a lot of your own things. You may be saving the tags off all of your Christmas presents. You may be fussy cutting the Christmas cards you receive or the wrapping paper that you loved. And I'm trusting that you're going to fill this book actually with things that are special to you. So yes, I have added my own little Catherine touch to it. I can't not do that. But you're going to see a lot of blank pages that are absolutely for you. Over here, I have stamped on some fabric and a little green button. This has been sewn down this trim, the pleated trim. And there's a little bit of velvet ribbon back here. I made a journaling card out of I'm dropping things out of a Christmas card. And I've stamped a little owl on there. And some children gathering twigs for kindling for their fire. So I tucked that there. You'll see here and there, I have a little embosser that does snowflakes. And you're going to see embossed snowflakes on pages throughout the book in different spots. So just keep your eye out for them. This is a old window envelope. Not that old. I've made it look old. It's tea-dyed. I guess I should have clarified before I started. Everything in this book, except for the glue and the distress ink, is from repurposed sources. All the papers, all the laces, all the ribbons, all the illustrations, all the fussy cuts, all the recipes aren't even mine. I have found boxes of old recipes at thrift stores. I guess someone has decided they didn't need them. Maybe they put their recipes on their computer, or they put their mother's recipes on their computer and donated them. And I love them. I like that it is personal. So that said, you'll find that some of these pages are blank paper that I have tea-dyed, and some of these pages are actually from books. As much as possible in this book, all of the page edges are a torn edge to give it a more natural look. So in here, I actually have somebody's recipe for frosting. And I thought that was kind of appropriate for the winter. Easy frosting. And I put a little tab on it. There's threads throughout this book. I rather like them. I think it gives it kind of an ethereal feel. If you don't like the threads, when you get it home, get your scissors out and start trimming threads. But it's, I like them. I like the way they feel. So, and this, oh, I wanted to, you need to go in your home. I forgot to put you in your home. I was waiting for the glue to dry. There. So there's a little tuck spot, and it says moonlight. Again, the theme of sun and stars and moon. A little bird in the winter. What's that, a grosbeak? Yeah, it is. It's a pine grosbeak. In there, a page from a book with a few little interesting sayings. A little, this is a English robin. and I used a bit of lace to look like a snowflake. Some blank papers. There's some embossing of snowflakes on these blank papers, and they're ready for you. Some lined paper, still blank, ready for you. Here's a little tuck spot I created from the divider from recipe cards again for soups, because I figured in wintertime everyone likes homemade soup in the winter. This sticker is from a sticker album from the 1940s, and it has a little lady there, and she's baking something. She's got her rolling pin out, and it's either cookies or biscuits. And then there are 2 recipe cards here. Again, I don't know whose they were. Well, obviously this was Richard's mom's shortbread. Whoever Richard was. And this one is Mom's vegetable soup. So you're welcome to try those. It's a little tuck spot. I usually try and leave my tuck spots actually open on 2 sides. I find that they're a little easier to get your things in and out, and they hold just as well. This section, hold on, I put little fussy cut little birds and little word snippets, and then I also fussy cut to make snowflakes. I actually fussy cut circles from out of other doilies so that it looks like snowflakes are falling. And it's also on this side, the same little birds. And this word snippet said birds and moons, so I put a moon up there watching down over the little birds in the snow. And again, the snowflakes are falling, and these are actual fussy cut snowflakes from off of an old doily. This is a open spread from a guest book that I have tea dyed. This is, if any of you follow me on Instagram, this is the green paper clip that my husband saved for me, that he found and thought I would like. And yes, I do like it. So it will be going to a new home. This is, although it looks old, this is a newer postcard. It's a reprint. I believe it's from the 80s, and I have aged it to look old, and I think it's just as lovely. And it's actually usable. You can journal on the back, or you could actually mail this if you wanted to. So I've tucked that in there too, using the lovely green paperclip. And there's a candle here. Quite a few candles in this book. There we go. Snowflake embossing. You'll see that better when you get home. When you get it home, there's a snowflake there as well. Snowflake down here. It's a nice little subtle way of having a winter theme. The other side of that book page. This is the other side of that envelope. So I put a majestic looking owl and 21 for December 21st. And then inside I have a vintage little Christmas note that I found the other day at Our Ladies Hospital Auxiliary store. I think that's beautiful. So I tucked that in there. You can put that wherever you like, but for now it's in there. This is the end of the first signature, and there's Peter Rabbit with his sled and a little word snippet that says, "The winter seemed long." It would for a rabbit. They don't hibernate. They have to come out. They actually get in under the snow and eat the tender roots of grass and that. White pom-pom trim, because it kind of reminded me of snow. A caribou. Another quote down here. Over here, a big pine tree and some fussy cut from a children's book. Some beautiful lace that I found at one of my thrift stores. And back here is ledger paper. I thought it was appropriate because it was green and red. Let's see if we're in, sorry. And another quote. It says, you can't get too much winter in the winter. On this side, there's a little tuck spot here. And I've included a page out of a little book that I had. I've also included, you go in there. This is actual genuine antique postcard This one hasn't been made to look old. This one actually is the real deal. It's an antique postcard that I found at an antique shop. And obviously it went to someone named Gladys. It says, Dear Gladys on it. So I thought that was very pretty. So that will be going along too, and it provides another journaling spot, another vintage present tag, and it's got a little bunny on it. Because like I said, you usually will still see bunnies in winter. They don't hibernate. They'll come out. They have to eat. There's a moon on this page of music, and the music title is Good Night, Farewell. So I thought good night was good for a solstice journal. I made a journaling card for you from a recipe divider, and it says Happy Silence, because I'm not sure about you, but I think of in the woods in the winter, in the dark, that it's very quiet except for crunching under your feet of snow and sticks. And there's a, I forget which kind. Is this a hare? And they change, an Arctic hare that changes to white in the wintertime as camouflage. So that's another journaling spot. Some more blank pages for you. I didn't take them all. It's very hard for me not to. A little, I believe this is a caribou. And then just some washi tape and some, oh, somebody told me what kind of tape this is. I found it at one of my thrift stores. But I thought it was red, and the last two numbers on it were 21. So it's in. Another quote from Winter and a Little Bird in the Snow. This is all tea-dyed music paper. Here is another, all three signatures have a spread from the guest book in it. And I've left the threads long. You can trim them if they drive you crazy, but I like them. And a young stag sitting there relaxing, laying there relaxing. Again, the music. I cut the square out of a calendar for the day of 21. And then there's a sun because, of course, we're welcoming back the sun. Longest night of the year. You can't wait for that sun to start showing up again. I don't know if you can see it. There's another embossed snowflake up in the corner there. Here's a little tuck spot with a little robin on a snowy windowsill, and it says, the color of springtime is in the flowers, the color of winter is in the imagination. And then there's a little, this is out of a book I have on seasons, and it's available there for journaling on. So I tucked that in there. Some more blank pages. The other side of the music of goodbye, good night, farewell. Here's another tuck spot with scrapbooking paper. I love this lace that I found the other day. It's got a gold ribbon running through it. And again, another quote. It says, I celebrate the spirit of Christmas. It's the winter solstice celebration, rebirth, and new possibilities. So there's a moon, and then there's a tree that with one decoration hanging off one of the branches of a tree. There's some more tea cards of animals that you will see in the wintertime. There's a deer, a fawn, and a little, which bird is this? Oh, it's a Canada jay. I didn't even know there was a such thing. I knew about blue jays and Stellar's jays, but I didn't know about Canada jay. So I learn something new every day. A little wolf cub on an index card, because it's not a Sunnyside journal if you don't get an index card in it, or 2 or 3. And then this is the postcard that we aged together the other day on the Craft with Me. And it's got a sun and a moon on it, so I thought that was appropriate to include. Oh, hold on. Here's another tuck spot from a book, a children's book about winter. And it's actually, I hope you can see, it's embossed. You can feel the snow that's falling in this picture. And the quote says, a snowflake is winter's butterfly. So I loved that quote. And again, this is another page out of that book I have. And there's journaling on the back. And then there's a postcard. I believe this is Switzerland, but I need help. It's obviously somewhere in Europe. It's vintage. That's the real deal as well. I didn't fake that one. Sometimes I encourage newer things to look older, and sometimes, oftentimes, they actually are older. An Arctic fox in full white fur, and another quote, and then I glued some sparkles to look like snow falling down here and there. And then some trim here with in a natural color with hearts on it in white. Lots of trim along the edges of the papers here. And again, as you can see, there's lots of threads everywhere. Here's a little snowman, a child making a snowman. And again, another quote. Here's a big page of music. And I trimmed the edge, made it lacy. Another tuck spot here. This is a sort of a double tuck spot. The bookmark can fit back there. This is a scan of an actual antique bookmark I have that was in my great-grandmother's Bible. So I've got the real one, the actual old one, but that's a scan of it. And then back here, come on, out you come, is another little journaling spot of some children gathering twigs for kindling. And then there's a quote here, kindness is like snow. It beautifies everything it covers. So some more blank pages, embossing of snowflakes. This is from an antique book on antique toys. It's a page spread out of that. This is the original spine from the book. So although I couldn't keep the spine, it was broken down. It was 1966, but this was still in good condition. So I fortified it a bit and I painted the inside gold, and I put another quote on the inside. So another bookmark to go in. More blank music paper. This is from a children's book on winter. And again, here's the center of this signature with the spread out from a guest book. Here's a stamped owl on cloth with a little button, a little brass button there. The other side of the antique toy, out of the antique toy book. More pages for you to have fun with. A little hedgehog making his way through the snow, and another quote. I love this one. It's from Lewis Carroll. And it says, I wonder if the snow loves the trees and fields that it kisses them so gently. And then it covers them up snug, you know, with a white quilt. And perhaps it says, go to sleep, darlings, till the summer comes again. Isn't that sweet? I loved that. More blank pages. Candle. The other side of that music page. A Father Christmas up here, because he's been around a long time, St. Nicholas. Another index card, because it is a Sunnyside journal. A bird in the winter. A shrike from the World Book Encyclopedia. 1961. So this actually, again, that's the real deal. That's old. This is from a vintage Christmas card, and I made a tuck spot out of it. I cut the back off. And it's actually not a Christmas card. It was a Christmas invitation. So I cut the other side off and just used the front. And then this, we've come to the end. I've used a old handkerchief that's lacy, so I thought it looked kind of snowy. And I made two little journaling cards out of Rolodex and red and green. And there's lots of journaling space on those. And again, another winter quote, winter solstice quote, and some more tea cards of winter animals and birds and trees. And again, these are real. They're not, sometimes I've made tea cards before, homemade ones, and they're very pretty, but these ones are actually real. So there's quite a bit of genuine ephemera in this book. This is from an antique photo album that I cut up. It actually had 4 windows on all the pages. So I cut up one page and I included the one that says family up here. And I fussy cut a raven who is bringing a star. So I felt like he was returning the star back so that we can have more daylight again. And then this is a little tuck spot window. There's glassine paper in the window there. I don't know if you can hear me wrinkling it. That's actually from a package of arrowroot cookies. And then there's a little journaling card here with St. Nicholas again on it and children welcoming him, and it just says peace, a little word snippet. And then there's journaling space on the back with a little child there. And it's got old vintage brads here holding this in place. So I thought that turned out nicely for an end page. So that's it. That's this book. I've been calling him Trust all this time. Obviously, his name is right on the front of it. So this book will be available in my Etsy shop, depending on how soon I can get this video uploaded. As soon as the video gets uploaded, that's when I will post it in my shop. So hopefully, if it isn't tonight, it will be on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving over in the United States, and a lot of Canadians will still celebrate it anyways. We like a good excuse to have more turkey. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little flip through, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.